Meet Cate Perry. Hey, Kate.
Hi, Karen.
Kate is the author of Before the Next Mistake, and she is an English literature teacher, right? And a developmental editor. Is that part of like you do that for a living, partially?
Yeah, the editing is my side hustle and teaching is the full-time gig. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll make sure I you have a chance to tell people because a lot of our watchers are writers. So
Right.
you can tell us at the end too how they can be in touch with you if they were looking for an editor, right? Everybody needs an editor. So let's start with you telling everybody a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write.
Okay. As you mentioned, I teach English and I work as a freelance developmental editor for Black Rose Writing. I live in Skagit Valley with my teenager and a cat and two dogs. I love to write. I love to teach writing, and I love to sing and play guitar at open mic nights and sing at karaoke and those fun things. Um, as far as what inspired me to write, I've just always written. And so and I'm sure that a lot of authors will say that. As soon as I knew how to write, I was writing poetry and songs and skits and stories and yeah, just so full of ideas. I won two Young Authors Awards in elementary school, um, and
Hmm.
in high school, my inspiration was S.E. Hinton of The Outsiders fame, which now people get to teach. I haven't gotten to teach it yet. I would love to teach that book. But she was 15 when she wrote that book, and I was 15, so I thought, okay, I can write a book. So I tried. My dad had a PC. I saw him every other weekend, so every other weekend I was typing up a story. And it's funny because it takes place here, but I wrote it in S.E. Hinton's Southern twang. I had read so many of her books. I just knew the rhythm of her speech, but that's part of finding an author's style, right? Is just trying on to me, it was like trying on clothes or something. I was just kind of trying on these different styles and cadences and until I kind of found my own. In college, I tried to write the quintessential grunge novel. Got about 80 pages into that because I figured they had the style, they had the music, they just needed a novel to cinch it, and I was going to be the one to write it. Uh, and then when I started my career, I stopped writing for probably 10 years and really lost that part of myself. And so I love to tell my students that the thing about writing is that you can always come back to it. And it just doesn't matter where you are, how old you are, you can write. And so I did.
That is so exactly right. I didn't get, I started writing as a little girl, but I didn't get my first novel out until serious about it until I was 69 years old. It's never too late. You can,
No,
you can do it whenever. It's
yeah.
a one, it's inside of us, right? It's right inside of us. So tell us a little bit about the setting and the premise of Before the Next Mistake.
So since I live in the Pacific Northwest, I set it in Seattle, and I chose the publishing industry because I had already written about teaching, and that book isn't published yet. But I knew a little bit about the publishing industry. I worked for an agency, a literary agency, reading query letters, and then that was my start in editing with Andrea Hurst and Associates. And so I knew that whatever I didn't get right, I could run it past Andrea, and she would help me out and make sure that it was authentic. And so in the story, the three women meet under unusual circumstances and find that they share a common relationship fail, that all of their dysfunctional exes have gone on to become someone else's Mr. Right. And so they join forces and form an informal red flag society, and then a more formal podcast called Better Than Never to figure out how they can skip past the works in progress and get to the already better man. But of course, as with all female friendships, they become mirrors for each other and help them, kind of realize their own flaws and the things that they need to work through so that they can become their own best selves. So that's my book.
Yeah, yeah. So the three friends are Carolyn, Ava, and Jasmine.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
tell us a little bit about their personalities and what you really like about them.
What I enjoyed writing about them is that they are each in different parts of womanhood. So Ava's in her 20s. She's just starting out. And so it was interesting for me to sort of travel back to my 20 something self when you're just out of college and you own the world. You know more than anybody, and yet you don't know anything. And so you're confident, you're taking on the world, but at the same time, you're full of self-doubt and that sort of imposter syndrome of, well, will I really make it? Am I going to be okay here? Um, Jasmine's in her 30s, so I went back to my 30s for that one, and just that feeling of making it, just making ends meet, getting through, getting by. She is raising an autistic son and single-handedly, and I'm also a single mother to a teenager with special needs, and so I got to sort of explore some of that. Yeah. But it's interesting because the thing that should bring her down actually gives her an opportunity to do what she wants with life and the things that fulfill her. So she's able to get out of that rut. And then Carolyn, who is established, something's just given her a real kick in the industry, but she is established. Um, has lived enough that she has made her share of mistakes. And now it's time to reconcile with those and with the people that those mistakes hurt. And then getting them all together and involving them in each other's stories and how will they inspire one another and influence one another to get through and to do better was just a really fun thing to do.
Yeah, it sounds so rich. And um, do you have friends like that in your life? Do you have like tight girlfriends that have helped you through?
For sure. I don't know if I have like a girlfriend group, but I definitely have. The female friendships in my life have come to mean so much. I feel like, I mean, yeah, like looking at like a past life, it was dating and it was relationship, and now I just realize, and maybe it's through writing some of this, just the absolute power and how crucial these friendships are with people where, it's a relationship that is sustainable. And also, it's having that person to hold up the mirror and to both validate you, but also help you to grow and become a better person. And so, yeah, I definitely shout out to Rosemary and Jennifer, and I appreciate you.
Yes, yes. I am still friends with my best friend from 12 years old. Two
Wow.
best friends since I was one from 12 and one from 13. One of them I married, my husband, but the other one's a woman. And and we're still friends to this day. And boy, you need those friends who'll tell you for real, but also support and love. Yeah, those very special relationships. So
They know how to see through you. We do such a good job of fooling ourselves, and those real friends are like, yeah, no, that's not what's happening here. Yeah. So when you say for real, yeah.
yes, and in all my books, I make sure that my protagonist, my very capable, but imperfect protagonist has a girlfriend. They all need a
Yeah.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
So was there a book early on in your life that had a big impact on who you are or how you write or how you think about things?
Well, I figure in my high school years it was S.E. Hinton that got me going. In college it was Bret Easton Ellis before he got in kind of gross. But I like just he had such an interesting style. And the people who really influenced me to start writing as an adult were Douglas Copeland, who wrote Generation X, and I am Generation X. Um, and Jonathan True no longer write, I think, pretty his books. I read them and thought, I want to do this. I want to do this too. But then also there was Nick Hornby, Elliot Perlman, and Leon Moriarty who were able to write what felt like this effortless way of writing different points of view. And because it seemed so effortless, I thought, I'm going to do that too. And I learned that it is not effortless at all. And then I'm sure it wasn't for them either, but boy, did they pull it off. Having a different voice for each person when it's coming from the same person is a challenge. But it was also a fun challenge, and I'm glad that they presented that to me.
Yeah.
And then
So
my others would be, oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm good.
I was
They were
just
just
going to say
inspirational.
that trying to capture voices, uh,
Yeah.
Barbara Kinslover is the one that just, that's where I learned that she in the Poisonwood Bible.
Yes, I was gonna
One
say,
of the
yeah.
characters, one of the POV was a 5-year-old, and you always knew who was speaking. You never had to guess who was speaking because she captured those voices so well. Real inspiration. But you were going to say someone else inspired you when I cut you
Oh no,
off?
they were just a couple more favorite books. No, I just Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving and The Brothers Kay, and a really great short story by David James Duncan, who's sort of a local author around here. Same with Copeland. I like it's always fun to read local authors.
Yes, yes, it is. And to know them, to get to meet them is
Yeah.
even, yes, it's
Even
even
better.
cooler. So, have you read something recently that you could recommend to our audience?
So pretty much what I read these days are the books that I edit. So I have some books that are one of them's out and two of them are coming out. So I thought I could let you know about those. They're all historical fiction, and I just find what they've written so fascinating, and so different from each other, but just so fascinating in their own way. The most recent read was Karen Breeze, who's a Black Rose author, and it's going to be her next Katrin Nissen spy World War II female spy novel, and it's her best one yet. Is
Mm.
I'm just gonna call it. I loved it so much, and she just has a way of. I'm sure she does tons of research for her books, and it never feels researched. It never feels like a data dump. It's just I'm sitting there learning so much without ever feeling like I'm learning. I'm just absorbing and just soaking it all in. But both just about what it would have been like to live in World War II, and also just sort of a subculture of espionage and trying to keep people out from infiltrating, you know. So I'm excited about that one. I don't know when that one will be coming out. The Last Gypsy Queen is another Black Rose. This is Linda Paul, and it's coming out in April, I believe. It has a gorgeous cover. And so it's also in the past, and it follows the people who put on the circuses, you know, and what that was like being in a subculture that travels all the time
Mm.
um and is looked down on by the rest of society, and what it was, and the things in their culture that set them apart, but were, you know, were was their culture. And so it's just really that was really a great read. And then a book, and then this is an ebook that just came out, and it's available on, I know it's available on Amazon. It's called Water Girls by Tony Stevens, and it takes place in the late 1800s. And it's about these young women who's because, you know, women, there just wasn't a lot for women in the late 1800s. If you weren't married,
Mm.
how are you going to make a living? And so these women, they had sort of the pull across their shoulders with the water, the buckets of water on
Oh,
either side.
yeah. Yeah.
And then they carried it, and he knows Venice. He has written books on Venice. He knows it inside and out, and it just felt like a feast of imagery, the way that he describes
Mhm.
Venice. And just, you're just, wow, you're right there. It's a novella. And it has the murder mystery, but at the same time, there's this looming realization that this new technology of indoor plumbing is going to happen, and these women are going to lose their
Their
livelihood.
jobs.
But now, yeah, and so it's just, I just really love it, and so I hope that people will check that one out.
So did you say the name of the author?
Yeah, Tony Stevens, and it's called Water Girls. Yeah.
Tony Stevens. Okay, those were great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those. So, all of you know, everybody watching knows that you can find Kate's books. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them on Barnes and Noble. You can find them in the library, at your independent bookstore. You can go to Black Rose Writing's website. You could find it there. And we want you to do that. And if you don't see it, ask. Just ask if you can't find it on the shelf, and they'll look for it and they'll get it right out to you. But in addition to that, how can people be in touch with you, find out more about you, find out where you're speaking, that kind of thing?
I have so I do have a website, cateperry.com. I was lucky to get that get my name in the cateperry.com, and it's Kate with a C. And Perry, Perry. And then I'm on Facebook and Instagram under Cate Perry author. So
Oh, I know you guys are very interested in Kate's books, and and so if a writer, and if the writer isn't a Black Rose writing author, can they still hire you?
yes.
Okay, because developmental editors are precious, precious, precious. They save us in so many ways from making terrible mistakes. So if you need that, and can they be, and so your website would tell them how to be in touch with you for that service?
Yep. It does, yes. And there's a page on that explains what it is, the services that I provide and the what I charge and all the good stuff. So
Excellent. All right. And so I hope when you guys get in touch with Kate, and I know you will, be sure to tell her that you met her on What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing? Have a great week, everybody. See you next time. Bye. Excellent.